Hello friends, in this part, which is the first in the series on a lectures in introduction to vectors, we will be studying the difference between scalars and vectors. It is a useful lesson for class 11 and also for students of class 9. In this part, we will be probing the difference between the position vector and the displacement vector. We will also talk about addition of vectors, the laws which help us add the vectors, that is triangle law of vector addition and parallelogram law of vector addition. Physics essentially is a science of measurements. All quantities which can be measured are called physical quantities. The list of quantities in physics or physical quantities is very long list. Some of the examples are mass, length, time, distance, speed, force, velocity, displacement, acceleration, weight, temperature, etc. You know all these quantities can be measured. In addition, we can measure current, we can measure potential difference. They are all physical quantities. There are different ways of classification of physical quantities. One of the classifications is in scalars and vectors. Scalars are the physical quantities which are completely expressed in terms of their magnitude alone. That is, they are expressed in terms of a pure algebraic number with precise unit. The sense of direction is missing in scalars. Mass, length, time, distance, speed, temperature, etc. And then there is a very long list. They are all scalars. However, they may have positive magnitude or negative magnitude as per some standard conventions. You can take example of mass. Say mass of sugar is 2 kilogram. We never talk about east, west, north, upward, downward. Mass is mass, no sense of direction required. So it is a scalar quantity. We can add scalars or we can subtract scalars by simple algebraic addition. Example, 2 kilogram mass plus 3 kilogram mass equal to 5 kilogram mass. A length of 7 meter, take away 4 meter out of it, you will be left with 3 meters. So this is how we simply add or subtract scalars. This is not true in case of the other type of physical quantities which have a sense of direction, about which we are going to talk now. Vectors are the physical quantities which need both magnitude and direction for their complete specification. That is, in contrast to scalars, vectors will also have a direction, a magnitude, which means a number like the scalars, plus direction. Force, velocity, displacement, acceleration, etc. are vectors. So far as representation of vectors is concerned, to differentiate between vectors and scalars, we will be using bold italic symbols for vectors. Here you can see A is bold and in italics. It denotes vector A, vector B, vector S, vector F, vector V. This is the symbol small v we use for velocity vector. Acceleration vector A. Force is a vector because effect of force on a body can be known only if the direction in which the force is exerted is known. You can take an example. Here we have a block subjected to a force F along horizontal. The force will affect the block. Alternately, we have the same block subjected to another force in a different direction. In figure B, the effect of force on the block in figure A will clearly be different from the effect of an equal force in different direction as shown in block B. So force is known completely only if its direction is also known in addition to the magnitude of the force. As stated, the effect of F on the block is different in figure B than in figure A as the direction of F is different. Let us see what is the significance of direction. Let's assume a case where we have a particle at some reference point, call it O. It is moving in the plane of the paper. The particle is now known to be at a distance r from the original point O. With this information, is it possible to find the final position of the particle? Remember, the information is particle was at O, now it is at a distance r. The answer is a big no. We cannot spot the particle in its final position because if the particle was at O and now at a distance r, it can be anywhere on the circumference of the circle with radius r. That is, exact position of the particle cannot be determined if we do not know the sense of direction of motion of the particle. In order to locate the particle at its exact final position, additional information is required. That additional information is the direction. This we will be explaining in the forthcoming session. Consider this figure. For a particle which is constrained to move only along a straight line with respect to some reference point O. O is reference point which we generally called origin, and the particle can move only along a straight line. The distances towards right are by convention taken as positive and towards left are taken as negative. Similarly, distances above the upward direction are taken as positive, distances in the downward direction are taken as negative. Similarly, if you have any oblique line which contains point O, on one side the distances may be termed positive, on the other side they may be termed negative. The line need not always be horizontal or vertical. We have a particle which starts from O and moves along horizontal through plus 2.5 meter. You have to mark the final position of the particle. Now we have a convention that the distances to the right are positive. So from O we will locate a point P which is 2.5 meter right of O. P here defines the final position of the particle in figure 2. This is final position. Alternately, you have a particle which starts from O and moves along horizontal through minus 1.5 meter. Mark the final position of the particle. So now what you have to do is you have to spot a point which is 1.5 meter left of the origin O or reference point O. The final position of the particle is marked in figure 3. P defines the final position in this case. So we have seen that with additional information, not just the distance, with additional information, we can locate the final position of a particle. So this is the convention which we normally use, and you are all very familiar with this. This is origin, right of origin, distances are positive. Above this, distances are positive, plus y, plus x. Likewise here in this part, x is negative, y is positive. Here both x and y have negative values. In this side, fourth quadrant, which we call, the values of x are positive, whereas those of y are negative. The position of a point P moving in a plane. Initially, in the last examples, we had the particle constrained to move along a straight line. Now we have a particle which is free to move in a plane. The position of a point P in plane can be represented, can be located, can be expressed in terms of an ordered pair xy with with respect to a reference point O. This ordered pair xy identifies the unique position of particle P with respect to the origin O. As you will see here, P is a point. Given a certain value of x and a certain value of y, that is with an ordered pair xy, you can locate the position of the point P. Take an example. A particle starts from point O and moves to P plus 2 meter minus 1 meter. This is the ordered pair associated with P. Mark the final position of the particle. Plus 2 minus 1. So here we reach P. We draw a line from O to P. This is a directed line, OP and not PO. This is directed line segment. OP defines the position vector of point P. Similarly, you may have a particle starting from point O and moving to a point P1 minus 2 meter plus 1 meter. Minus 2 meter plus 1 meter. So you reach here. We have the final position. Now join O to P1. This again is a directed line segment, OP1 and not P1O. OP1 is position vector which defines the position of P1. OP1 position vector of P1, OP position vector of P. So with the help of the ordered pair XY, we are able to precisely locate the final position. So this is a vector position of the point P. We have another method to locate a point P in the plane. For the purpose, we consider this diagram. O is the reference point and we have a line which we call reference line. In this case, we have taken this horizontal line as the reference line. In order to locate the position of point P, we have a different method. Now what we need to know is again two things: distance r of the particle P from the origin. So we need to know distance OP. And secondly, we need to know angle theta or angle POX. Angle POX, if this is called x direction, angle POX, in order to define the final position of the particle. So what you have to do is, from the reference line, move through an angle theta, and along this line cover a distance r from O. You will be able to locate the unique position of the point P. So r theta defines the final position of the particle P. Remember, theta has a sign. It can be positive, it can be negative. It indicates the direction of rotation. By convention, positive sign implies anti-clockwise rotation and negative sign implies clockwise rotation. This is clockwise rotation, we take it as a negative. This anti-clockwise rotation, we take theta as positive. 5 centimeter 30 degree and 4 centimeter minus 45 degree can also be used to locate the final position P and P dash of a particle. You may draw a diagram to mark the same. So there are two ways of pinpointing a position of a particle in a plane. Either ordered pair xy, which we call Cartesian coordinates, or r theta, polar coordinates. They can also be used to locate the position of a point. So this r theta or xy. Let's now distinguish between these two kinds of quantities, that is the scalars and vectors. To sum up, all physical quantities that can be completely specified by an algebraic magnitude alone, they are known as scalar quantities or simply scalars. All physical quantities which need both magnitude and direction for their complete specification, they are known as vector quantities or vectors. Examples of scalars and vectors. Now see, this is interesting. This will clearly help you distinguish between a quantity with only magnitude and both magnitude and direction, and the advantage of adding direction. A doctor advises a patient to walk 6 kilometers each day to stay fit. The distance here is a scalar. The doctor is not specifying the direction, the doctor is not specifying the route to be taken by the patient. He is just advised to walk 6 kilometers, maybe in a park, maybe in market or elsewhere. The distance has a magnitude 6 kilometers without any reference to the direction in a plane or in space. The meaning can be assigned through an algebraic magnitude alone. So this states, this clearly tells us, signifies that the distance is a scalar quantity. No sense of direction is required. However, a change in distance, that is increase in distance, can be called positive, and decrease in distance may be termed as negative. Alternately, if a doctor asks a patient to get a medicine from a chemist shop 100 meters from the clinic, here the direction east, west, north, south, left, right will have to be specified. Otherwise, the patient will not be able to locate the shop. So, if with distance the chemist shop will be located using a vector, say 100 meters east of the clinic, now the patient has to walk in a specific direction, east alone, and cover a distance of 100 meters. So direction, magnitude. That makes 100 meter east a vector quantity. We call it displacement. In the previous example, 6 kilometer was a distance. Here 100 meter east is displacement, it is vector. Distance is a scalar quantity. A vector thus is specified completely only if it has a direction in addition to the magnitude. We can represent a vector graphically. A vector is represented by a directed line segment, along with direction. The length represents magnitude of the vector on a suitable scale. An arrowhead drawn from initial to the terminal point gives the direction of the vector. We will now illustrate this by means of some example. Let's take an example. Represent a displacement of 500 meter east graphically. These are the conventional directions: east, west, north, south. You know from your knowledge in geography from your earlier classes. In order to represent the displacement, we choose a scale. We are given a displacement that the displacement S is 500 meter east. Mark the symbol. It is bold letter and in italics. This specifies that the quantity, physical quantity, is a vector quantity. Let's assume that 100 meter is represented by 1 centimeter. We get 500 meter equal to 5 centimeter. Then OP equal to 5 centimeter will represent the displacement S. See the diagram. O is reference point. OP is segment from initial point to the final point, and it is towards east. The length should be 5 centimeter because each centimeter represents 100 meter. So OP represents the displacement S. Now let's represent a force of 2500 Newton, 2500 Newton at 47 degree north of east graphically. We are given that the force F is 2500 Newton, 47 degree north of east. We again have to choose a scale, say 500 Newton represented by 1 centimeter. On this scale, 2500 Newton will be represented by 5 centimeter. Here is the reference line. We call it OX. This is north of east, from east towards north. 47 degree north of east. Draw a line, and on that line take a segment OP equal to 5 centimeter to represent the given force of 2500 Newton. OP represents the force F completely, both in magnitude as well as in direction. Next example, represent a velocity of 0.6 millimeter per second at 27 degrees south of west graphically. Again, you have to choose a scale. You are given velocity vector as 0.6 millimeter per second, 27 degrees south of west. Again, see the symbol is bold and italic for vector. Scale chosen is 0.1 millimeter per second represented by 1 centimeter. 0.6 millimeter per second will be represented by 6 centimeter. Now the reference line. This is west. You have to go south of west, 27 degrees south of west. The length of the line OP, line segment OP, should be 6 centimeter. So OP represents the given velocity V, that is 0.6 millimeter per second at 27 degree south of west. The aim of this example is whether the quantities are small or large, we can use suitable scales. Earlier we used 500 units equal to 1 centimeter. Now 0.1 millimeter equal to represented by 1 centimeter. You can always think of a suitable scale to represent vector of a proper any desired magnitude. These are some problems for practice. Name 4 physical quantities that can be specified without bringing in the concept of direction. Name 4 physical quantities that need both magnitude and direction for their unambiguous or complete specification. Third, how do we distinguish between the speed of a particle moving towards right from that of another moving towards left? Why do we say that a particle located in a plane can have an infinity of locations when only its distance from a given reference point, that is the origin, is known? These are the problems which will help you recapitulate what you have studied earlier. You may take a screenshot or visit the lesson again for attempting these questions. Now let's talk about position vector and displacement vector. These are two vectors which we need very often to describe and analyze the motion of a particle. There is a fine difference between the two, and we will try to bring out that difference by understanding the meaning of these terms one by one. Position vector first. Let a particle be at some point O at the start of the motion. The starting point O is usually taken as the origin or the reference point to describe the motion. The particle now moves to P over a time t. The directed line segment OP, O to P, the directed line segment OP is then said to represent the position vector of the particle at time t with respect to the starting point O of its motion. So this is position vector from origin or from point of reference to the final point. Here remember, the particle started from the reference point. Remember, the position vector of a particle at any instant has to be always defined with respect to some reference. You always need a reference to define the position vector of a point. This reference point need not always be the origin. It may be different. Now here in the example, we will be taking R as the predefined reference. Initially the particle was at O, now the particle has gone to P. So RO represents the initial position vector of the particle. We write it as PI, initial position vector. RP defines the final position vector, which we denote by PF. The particle has gone from O to P. OP is the displacement vector. In this example, some predefined point R may also be chosen as the reference. And RO represents initial position vector. RP represents the final position vector. The diagram for your reference again. It represents the displacement of the particle from initial position to the final position. OP is the displacement vector. The directed line segment, that is directed from previous position point of the particle to the present position point, represents the displacement vector. See here, Pi is the initial position vector, Pf the final position vector, and S is the displacement vector. You may subscribe to our YouTube channel CBSE 042. For the purpose, you have to open YouTube, search CBSE 042 and subscribe to the channel to get the notifications about further lectures. Should you have any feedback, feel free to write to this mail ID ikg54@yahoo.co.in. You may visit our blog www.physicsbeacons.wordpress.com for more topics. Wish you happy learning. Thanks for being with us. Thank you. See you in the next lecture.